You won't believe what just happened. That's exactly how my day started. And honestly, even saying it now gives me chills. My daughter's boyfriend came to me looking nervous, shifting from foot to foot, hands clasped together and his eyes darting around the room like he was about to drop some life-changing news. I could tell immediately that this wasn't going to be a casual chat about school, work, or some weekend plans. Something big was coming. And as a dad, you just have that sixth sense about your kids' relationships. I paused for a moment, studying him, trying to read the mix of excitement and anxiety on his face. He's always been polite, respectful, and surprisingly mature for his age. But this nervous energy was new. I tried to keep my own nerves in check, even though my curiosity was sky high. My wife often teases me that I can overthink situations like this, imagining every possible scenario. And I think she was right at that moment. I could feel my heart rate pick up as I braced myself for whatever was about to come. A little about our family first, so you understand why this moment felt even bigger. I'm 50 years old, married to my incredible wife for nearly 25 years. Together, we've raised 7 kids in a house that's always full of chaos, laughter, arguments, and love in equal measure. Life has been hectic, yes, but it's been full of unforgettable moments. And now, our youngest, our baby girl Lala, is 20 years old. She's smart, funny, independent, and, as every parent secretly fears and hopes, she's starting to step out into the world in ways that make me realize my little girl is not so little anymore. Lala has been dating this guy for a little over a year. From day one, he impressed me. He's respectful, polite, and genuinely seems to care about her. Not just in the typical young couple way, but in a way that makes you, as a parent, breathe a sigh of relief. You know, the type of person you secretly hope your kid ends up with, because they treat her like she deserves to be treated. I've seen him stick up for her in situations where others wouldn't, and I've watched him make her laugh even on her worst days. So yes, I liked him immediately, but nothing could have prepared me for what he was about to ask. When he finally cleared his throat and asked me to sit down, I felt my stomach tighten. He fumbled with his words at first, clearly nervous, but then he took a deep breath, looked me in the eye, and asked something that made my heart skip a beat. He wanted my permission to marry Lola. I had to stop myself from smiling too wide, because I could see the earnestness in his face, the hope and vulnerabilities. He wasn't just asking to marry her. He was asking to do it in a way that included our family in one of the most important events of our lives, our vow renewal. And yes, he asked if he could propose during our vow renewal in December. Now, let me explain what this vow renewal means to us. This isn't a small backyard ceremony or a casual let's renew our vows event. We're talking a full-scale, wedding-style celebration with hundreds of guests, fancy decorations, music, catering, and the works. It's basically like throwing a second wedding, and I had been looking forward to it for months. So the thought of him asking to propose during that event in front of everyone we love was, well, thrilling. At that moment, a flood of emotions hit me. Excitement, pride, and a touch of nervousness. I wanted to say yes immediately, and I did, of course. I was genuinely thrilled, not just because I liked him, but because I wanted Lalai to be happy, and this seemed like the perfect way to celebrate both our family and their relationship. I couldn't wait to see the look on her face, to witness this milestone, and to be part of a moment that would be remembered forever. Little did I know, what started as pure excitement was about to become complicated in ways I never could have imagined. To my surprise, he asked for my permission to marry Lala, and not just in some casual, "Hey, can I marry your daughter?" kind of way. He asked if he could propose at our vow renewal in December. I froze for a moment, trying to process it. Our vow renewal isn't a simple event. We've been planning this celebration for months. Almost like throwing a second wedding. There's a fancy venue, catering for hundreds of guests, decorations, music, the whole shebang. Honestly, it's one of those things you imagine once in a lifetime. And now he wanted to make it even more memorable by proposing there. At first, I couldn't help but feel a rush of pride. Here's this young man, clearly nervous, standing in front of me, asking for my blessing in one of the most important ways a child can ever ask a parent for permission. It's a moment every parent hopes for, a glimpse into the next chapter of our child's life, and a chance to see them loved in a way that makes your heart swell. And let me tell you, this guy has earned my respect. Over the past year, I've watched him treat Lala with care, patience, and respect. He's polite, thoughtful, and genuinely protective of her. Not in a controlling way, but in a way that makes you feel like she's in good hands. He has this rare quality where he genuinely listens to her and values her opinions, even in small, everyday matters, which is exactly the kind of partner every parent wants for their child. So when he asked to propose at the vow renewal, my first instinct was pure excitement. I could imagine it perfectly. Our family gathered around, the lights soft and romantic, the music playing just right, and him kneeling in front of her, presenting a ring with that mix of nervousness and love that makes everyone's heart ache in the best way. I could even picture Lala's face, eyes wide, hands covering her mouth, and the smile that never seems to leave her face. It was going to be magical. I said yes immediately. Of course, I said yes. I wanted him to have my blessing, and I wanted to see that special moment happen. The thought of witnessing it filled me with joy. I felt proud, not just of him, but of Lala too, for choosing someone who clearly cares for her so deeply. I could imagine telling our family afterward, reliving the proposal over and over, and smiling at how perfect it all was. But even as I said yes, and felt that excitement bubbling inside me, a tiny voice in the back of my head whispered caution. Weddings and vow renewals are complicated. There are logistics, families, schedules, and emotions to consider. Adding a proposal to the mix, especially one with potential family dynamics involved, could be tricky. I didn't want to overthink it, but being a parent comes with this constant balancing act. Wanting your child to be happy while protecting them from unnecessary drama. Little did I know, that cautious whisper was foreshadowing what was about to happen next, because a few weeks after he got my blessing, he returned with another request, and it wasn't small. It involved family, money, and a situation that would test my patience and challenge how I handle protecting my daughter. In that moment, though, all I felt was excitement, the kind of excitement that makes your chest tight with happiness, the kind that makes you imagine the perfect memory unfolding before your eyes. I had no idea that what started as a joyful, heartwarming plan would soon turn into one of the most complicated, stressful, and surprisingly divisive moments in my parenting life. But for now, all I could do was smile, imagine the scene, and dream of that unforgettable day when Layla's happiness would light up the entire room. Everything had been going so well. I was still riding the high from giving him my blessing and imagining the proposal at our vow renewal. I kept replaying the image in my head, Lala's face, lighting up with joy, the sparkle in her eyes, the happiness radiating through our family. As we shared in that moment, it felt like one of those perfect, almost cinematic life moments, and I couldn't wait for it to happen then. A few weeks later, he came back with another request. And this one immediately made my stomach tighten. He wanted to talk about his family attending the Vow Renewal. At first, I didn't think much of it. Inviting family is normal, after all. I expected maybe his parents and a sibling or two. That's common courtesy. And honestly, I was fine with it. Family presence always adds warmth to an event. But the second I opened the list he sent me, my jaw dropped. 25 people. 25 extra guests he expected us to accommodate. I had to blink a few times, thinking maybe I was misreading it. But no. Every single name was there, detailed and precise. From distant cousins to extended family members I'd never even met. It was a full-on entourage. My excitement instantly shifted into stress. This wasn't just a handful of extra chairs or a slightly bigger table. It was a logistical and financial nightmare in the making. I tried to be rational about it. I counted our current guest list in my head, thinking about the seating arrangements, the catering, the party favors, the decorations. Adding 25 more people wasn't just an extra slice of cake. It was a significant strain on the budget, the venue space, and the smooth flow of the celebration we'd been planning for months. But that wasn't even the worst part. The bigger concern wasn't money. It was family dynamics. You see, I know his family. They are not particularly fond of Lala. They're Asian, and from the conversations I've overheard and the hints Lala has shared, they are not happy that their son is dating a black woman. I've seen this tension firsthand. Eye rolls, subtle remarks, and moments of silent judgment that speak louder than words. It's the kind of thing that can poison the mood of even the happiest events. I kept thinking, how am I supposed to balance this? On one hand, I want to support the young man who clearly loves my daughter. On the other, I need to protect the joy and peace of a day that should be about love and celebration. I imagined Lala smiling, holding hands with her boyfriend, surrounded by family cheering them on. But then I imagined the awkwardness, the whispers, the judgmental glances from 25 people who didn't truly accept her. The thought made my chest tighten. And then there was the practical reality. A wedding-style vow renewal is not cheap, especially when it's meant to be extravagant and memorable. Each extra guest adds cost, from catering to seating to table settings to favors to even insurance for the event. 25 people might not sound like much on paper, but in a celebration of this scale, it's huge, and I couldn't justify paying for guests who, deep down, might create tension and discomfort for my daughter and the rest of our family. So, as I sat there staring at the list, excitement fading into anxiety, I realized I was at a crossroads. I had to make a decision that would balance fairness, practicality, and protecting my daughter's happiness. I wanted everyone to feel included, but I also knew that some boundaries had to be set. It was a stressful moment, one that made me question how to do the right thing without hurting anyone's feelings. And it was only the beginning of the complications that were about to unfold. Here's the real problem. His family does not like Layla. From the very beginning of their relationship, it was clear that not everyone in his family was supportive. They're Asian, and from what I've gathered through conversations and observations, they're uncomfortable and frankly unhappy that their son is dating a black woman. It's one of those uncomfortable realities you don't want to face as a parent, but you have to acknowledge it, especially when it comes to planning events meant to celebrate love. I've seen this young man defend Lala countless times. Whenever his family has made rude or judgmental comments, even subtle ones, he stands up for her. I've witnessed him in moments where his tone shifts slightly, but his words are firm, protecting her dignity. He's polite, respectful, and clearly cares for her deeply. And yet, even with his support, I knew that adding 25 disapproving family members into the mix would create a tense and awkward atmosphere. You could feel it in the room just thinking about it. The silent judgments, the potential glares, the uncomfortable small talk that could quickly escalate into discomfort. The last thing I wanted was for our vow renewal, a day that should be filled with laughter, love, and joy, to become a platform for tension and subtle hostility. This event was supposed to be about celebrating nearly 25 years of marriage, showing our kids and extended family how much we value commitment, and most importantly, making memories for Lala and the rest of our family. Inviting people who openly disrespected her would have undermined every single one of those intentions. And then there's the practical side. Let's talk about logistics. Our vow renewal is essentially a wedding-style party. We're talking hundreds of guests, a catered event, seating arrangements, decorations, music, the whole shebang. Adding 25 more guests may not sound like much at first glance, but in a gathering of this size, it's enormous. Each extra person means additional plates of food, extra tables and chairs, more drinks, more table settings, more favors, more planning. Overall, the costs quickly add up. And let's be honest, we're not sitting on unlimited funds. It wasn't just the money, it was the principle. I couldn't justify funding people who might make my daughter feel unwelcome or judged. This day was supposed to celebrate her life, her family, and her happiness. I wanted her to walk into the venue feeling loved, supported, and cherished, not anxious about how certain people would treat her, or worry about awkward confrontations. Weddings and vow renewals are emotionally charged as it is. Adding disapproval and judgment into the mix would only amplify stress and create unnecessary tension. I spent nights thinking about this. I imagined the scene. Lala smiling in her dress, holding hands with her boyfriend, while some members of his family whisper behind their hands or exchange judgmental glances. My heart ached just thinking about it. This wasn't about being controlling or overprotective. It was about making sure the day remained joyful, respectful, and memorable for the right reasons. So, I knew I had to draw a line. I had to prioritize Lala's comfort, our family's peace, and the integrity of the celebration over appeasing a request that, while understandable from his perspective, could disrupt the entire event. It was a delicate balance, wanting to support the young man who genuinely loves my daughter, but also standing firm against a situation that could hurt her emotionally and create chaos. In the end, I realized that saying no wasn't being harsh or unreasonable. It was being a responsible parent. It was protecting a day that should be about love, laughter, and family, not about judgment, tension, or awkward confrontations. And as difficult as it felt to disappoint him, I knew that preserving the joy of the occasion for Lila and our family had to come first. When I finally told him that we couldn't accommodate 25 extra guests, I didn't expect what happened next. I thought maybe he'll be disappointed, maybe frustrated, but calm. I wasn't prepared for the storm. His face immediately fell, then shifted into a mix of anger and disbelief. I could see his jaw tighten, his eyes flash, and his hands clench involuntarily. "You're ruining it!" he exclaimed, his voice a mixture of frustration and desperation. "This is supposed to be my special moment, and now you're telling me no." I took a deep breath and tried to remain calm. "I'm not ruining anything," I said. "I just can't have 25 people who openly dislike my daughter at our celebration. It's not fair to her. This day is supposed to be about love and happiness." He shook his head, almost incredulously. "You don't care about Lala. You're standing in the way of this moment, and all I'm asking for is my family to be there." Hearing that stung. I wanted to respond immediately, but I had to think carefully. This wasn't just about a list of names. It was about emotions, culture, pride, and family. It was about boundaries. I could feel my chest tighten. His words hit hard, because underneath it all, they implied that my intentions were selfish, that I didn't care about my daughter's happiness, and nothing could be further from the truth. "You're wrong," I said slowly, choosing each word carefully. "I absolutely care about Lala. That's exactly why I'm saying no. This celebration is about her and our family. It's about creating an environment where she feels loved, supported, and safe. Allowing people who openly dislike her to attend isn't protecting her. It's exposing her to unnecessary stress and conflict." He ran a hand through his hair, pacing slightly. "You're being unreasonable. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You don't get it. I've been planning this, thinking it would be perfect. And now you're saying no." I sighed. It was clear we were at an impasse. I knew I couldn't compromise, no matter how politely I tried to explain it. "Listen," I said. "I gave you my blessing to marry Lala. You still have my full support for your relationship. But this proposal, at our vow renewal, not happening. I won't allow it. And those family members, they will not be attending. Period." His expression hardened. "You can't stop them from showing up. I mean, legally they can come as guests if they pay their own way. You're just controlling this." I shook my head firmly. "No, this isn't about control. It's about protecting the environment of our celebration. If they show up uninvited, they will be asked to leave. This is our event, our family. We decide who is welcome. You may love them, but their behavior towards Layla makes it unacceptable. That's not negotiable." There was a long silence. I could see him struggling internally, wanting to assert his point, but also realizing the weight of my words. He looked almost pained, like a young man confronting a boundary he didn't want to accept. And honestly, I understood him. I knew he loved Lala, and in his mind, this was supposed to be a romantic, perfect, unforgettable proposal. But perfect proposals don't come at the cost of respect and comfort. "You're really going to take that away from me?" he asked finally, almost whispering. His voice had softened, but the hurt in his eyes was clear. "I'm not taking anything away," I replied gently but firmly. "You still have Lala, my blessing, and your chance to propose. But this isn't the time or place. And trust me, I want you both to have that moment. But it has to be done in a way that doesn't compromise anyone's comfort, dignity, or peace." He shook his head slowly, looking down at his shoes. "I can't believe this," he muttered, more to himself than to me. "I thought you liked me. I thought you were on my side." "I do like you," I said quickly. "I respect you and I care about you. But I care more about Lala, and I will always put her comfort and happiness first. That's my job as her dad." I hope you understand that one day. We both sat in silence for a few minutes. The air was heavy, tense, and full of unspoken emotions. I wanted to reach out, put a hand on his shoulder, and reassure him, but I also needed to let him process the reality. Sometimes, understanding a boundary requires time and reflection. After a while, he finally spoke again, this time with a quieter tone. "So, you're saying I can't propose at the vow renewal, but I can still ask her to marry me?" "Yes," I confirmed. "You absolutely have my blessing. You can propose in a private setting, somewhere meaningful for the two of you. It just can't happen at our celebration. That's all I'm saying." He nodded slowly, though I could tell he wasn't fully happy. I felt a pang of guilt for disappointing him, But I reminded myself why I had to stand firm. This wasn't about being controlling or mean. It was about protecting my daughter, our family, and the integrity of our celebration. We ended the conversation there, though tension lingered in the room. As he left, I couldn't help but feel conflicted. On one hand, I was proud I had stood my ground. On the other, I knew this was going to cause waves. He would likely vent to his family, and my own children might have opinions about whether I was being fair. And indeed, the ripple effect began almost immediately. His family called, asking why they weren't invited. Some of my sons texted me, saying I was being unreasonable. The young man himself seemed distant and upset when I next saw him. It was a mess. But deep down, I knew that even if it was uncomfortable, now this was the right decision. Protecting the day, and more importantly, protecting Lala's emotional well-being, had to come first. This moment taught me a powerful lesson. Sometimes, doing the right thing as a parent isn't the easiest path. It's not about being liked or making everyone happy. It's about setting boundaries, making tough choices, and standing firm, even when it hurts. I wanted Lala to have the happiest day possible, and that meant difficult conversations, awkward silences, and even temporary disappointment for people I liked and respected. At the end of the day, I reminded myself that love, respect, and family come first. And no matter how angry or upset anyone got, I had to make this stand. For Lala, for our family, and for the memories we were creating, that should be filled with joy, not tension. After the conversation with Lala's boyfriend, things quickly got messy. I thought that maybe the issue would fizzle out once we all processed it, but that was far from reality. Within days, his family started calling and sending messages, questioning why they weren't being invited. Some were subtle, polite inquiries, but others were pointed and judgmental, implying that I was being unfair and controlling. At the same time, I began noticing tension within my own household. Our home, which is usually filled with laughter and playful chaos, suddenly felt heavy with judgment and opinions. Even two of my sons, who are usually supportive, approached me with skepticism. "Dad," one of them said one evening, leaning against the kitchen counter, "you're being a little over the top here. It's just a proposal. Just let it happen. Don't make a big deal out of it." "Over the top?" I asked, feeling my patience stretch. "We're talking about 25 people who openly dislike Lala, attending a celebration that's supposed to honor her, and you think that's over the top?" He shrugged. "I just think you're being a bit controlling. It's a once-in-a-lifetime moment for him. You should just, suck it up, let him propose." It hit me hard to hear my own children suggest I should simply compromise. I understood their perspective. They were thinking about a romantic gesture, a young man trying to create a perfect memory, but they weren't the ones responsible for protecting my daughter's emotional well-being. This wasn't about being mean or difficult. It was about setting boundaries and ensuring that the day remained joyful, inclusive, and free from unnecessary conflict. Meanwhile, my wife and the rest of our children were firmly in my corner. My wife, who has always been my anchor in complicated family situations, looked at me one evening and said, "You did the right thing. 25 people who don't accept Lala have no business being at that event. You're protecting her happiness, and that's what matters." Our other kids nodded in agreement. They understood immediately why this was important. "Dad," our daughter said softly, "it's not about being unfair. You're doing what's best for Lala. That's all that matters." Their support was comforting, yet it didn't erase the tension I felt from my two sons, or the angry messages from the boyfriend's family. It became a delicate balancing act. On one hand, I wanted to honor the wishes of the young man who genuinely cares about Layla. On the other hand, I had to protect the integrity of our celebration, ensure Layla's comfort, and make sure our family's joy wasn't overshadowed by judgment and resentment. Every time I tried to rationalize it to the sons who disagreed, it felt like an uphill battle. "You're missing the bigger picture," I tried to explain multiple times. "This isn't just about one moment. This is about the entire environment of the event. It's about ensuring that Lala feels celebrated, respected, and safe." The more I thought about it, the more I realized how nuanced the situation was. It wasn't just a clash between two families or a disagreement over a proposal. It was a lesson in boundaries, respect, and parenting. I found myself having conversations with each of my children separately, trying to help them see both perspectives, while still holding firm on my decision. With the sons who disagreed, I focused on the emotional impact on Lala. Imagine walking into a room filled with people who don't respect you. I said, "Do you think you'd enjoy the celebration? Would it feel like a joyful moment or a stressful one?" That's what I'm trying to prevent. They listened, but I could tell the concept was hard for them to fully grasp. They were seeing it through the lens of the young man's excitement, the spectacle of a proposal, and the idea of a once-in-a-lifetime event. Meanwhile, my wife and our other children were seeing the big picture, the years of planning, the love and effort poured into the vow renewal, and the need to maintain a safe and respectful environment for Lala. Tension in our household continued to grow over the weeks. Even casual conversations about the vow renewal would spark debates. "Are you sure you're not being too strict?" One son would ask. "What if it really upsets him?" Another would add, "It's just a proposal. Don't make him feel like the bad guy here." I would respond with patience, though sometimes frustration crept in. It's not about making him feel bad. It's about preventing an uncomfortable and potentially hurtful situation. I'm not denying him happiness. I'm just asking that it happens in the right way, at the right time, and in a way that doesn't compromise Lala's comfort. Meanwhile, the boyfriend's frustration was evident. Every interaction with him seemed tense. I could see that he felt wronged, like his special moment had been taken from him. It was heartbreaking to witness, but I reminded myself that temporary discomfort for him was far less important than protecting my daughter's joy and the sanctity of the event. This divide in opinions became a recurring theme in our family discussions. It wasn't easy. I felt torn between wanting everyone to be happy and knowing that some happiness could come at the cost of someone else's comfort. As a parent, those decisions are never black and white. You weigh the consequences. You consider everyone involved. And sometimes you have to make a choice that will inevitably upset someone. Through all of this, I kept reminding myself that the vow renewal was about family. It wasn't about creating a dramatic moment for a boyfriend or appeasing extended family members who might create tension. It was about celebrating love, commitment, and unity. That principle kept me grounded, even when the opinions of others in my family felt like pressure to bend. In the end, I realized that standing firm on this decision wasn't a matter of winning an argument or proving a point. It was about integrity, fairness, and love. Protecting Lala, ensuring her comfort, and maintaining the joy of our family celebration were far more important than pleasing everyone in the moment. And while the divide in opinions caused stress and friction, it also became a lesson for all of us about boundaries, empathy, and the complexities of family dynamics. I had to accept that some people would be upset, and that was okay. Their temporary disappointment didn't outweigh the potential disruption, hurt, and awkwardness that could have overshadowed the day. In the midst of this divided opinion, I found clarity. I knew my responsibility. and I knew what was right for my daughter and our family. At the end of the day, it wasn't about being liked by everyone. It was about doing what was best. And while the debates and disagreements raged on around me, I held firm, knowing that sometimes the hardest choices are the ones that matter most. As I sit back and reflect on everything that's happened, I can't help but feel a mix of emotions: pride, anxiety, and a little lingering guilt. Being a parent is complicated, especially when it comes to protecting your children while allowing them to grow and make their own choices. I know deep down that I made the right call. This situation isn't about being controlling, nor is it about trying to dictate how my daughter or her boyfriend should live their lives. It's about something far more fundamental: protecting Lala, preserving the peace of our family celebration, and maintaining an environment where love, respect, and joy can thrive. When I think about the decision to not allow the proposal at our vow renewal, it's clear why I had to draw that line. The boyfriend still has my blessing to marry Lala. That part has never been in question. My concern wasn't the relationship itself. It's how the proposal was going to unfold. The sheer number of additional guests he wanted to bring, 25, people who openly disapprove of my daughter, was more than just a logistical nightmare. It was a potential emotional landmine. Imagine walking into a room filled with family members who don't accept you, who make subtle, judgmental remarks, who might make the occasion uncomfortable for you or even hurtful. That's not how you celebrate love. That's not how you honor commitment, family, or happiness. I keep replaying the scenario in my mind. The lights dimmed, music playing softly in the background. Our family gathered to celebrate almost 25 years of marriage, and then a young man kneeling in front of my daughter, while disapproving family members watch, whisper, and judge. Even though the boyfriend is a wonderful, supportive partner, the tension that would have existed in that room could have overshadowed the moment entirely. Instead of pure joy, there would have been anxiety, unease, and awkwardness. That is exactly what I wanted to prevent. Standing my ground wasn't easy. I won't lie about that. The boyfriend was frustrated and hurt. And even my own sons had mixed feelings about my decision. Some argued that I was being unreasonable, that it was just one moment, and that I should let it happen. Hearing that from my own children was difficult, because I wanted everyone to be happy. I wanted them all to understand my reasoning. But I also knew that this wasn't about convenience or popularity. This was about protecting someone I love, about honoring the integrity of a celebration that we had been planning for months, and about setting boundaries that are essential for family harmony. My wife, however, has been my rock throughout this process. She understood immediately why this was necessary. She reminded me that protecting our daughter's happiness sometimes means saying no, even when it's uncomfortable. She also reminded me that love and respect for family don't always mean giving in to every demand. Sometimes it means standing firm. That perspective gave me courage. Our other children also saw the situation clearly, recognizing that adding 25 guests who didn't truly accept Lala would have caused unnecessary tension and could have tainted the day. Their support reinforced my conviction that I was making the right choice, even if it meant temporary discomfort or disappointment for others. I haven't told Lala about any of this. I made a conscious decision to shield her from drama she didn't cause and doesn't deserve. She should be able to look forward to the vow renewal with excitement, not stress, not worrying about conflicts between adults or the boyfriend's family. My hope is that when the day finally arrives, it will be exactly what it's meant to be: a celebration filled with love, laughter, and support from everyone who truly cares about our family. I want her to feel cherished, respected, and empowered, surrounded by people who genuinely celebrate her happiness. At the same time, I want the boyfriend to have his moment, just not in a setting that could compromise Lala's comfort. There are so many ways for their proposal to be meaningful, private, and respectful. It could happen on a quiet evening, in a place that holds personal significance for them, or even at a family gathering that doesn't involve anyone who might cause tension. It will still be special, memorable, and joyous, but it will happen. Without casting a shadow over our vow renewal, I realize that some people might view my decision as harsh, controlling, or unnecessary, and I understand why. From the outside, it might look like I'm taking away a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a young couple, but the reality is far more nuanced. Parenting isn't about being liked or appeasing everyone. It's about making tough decisions, sometimes unpopular ones, that prioritize love, protection, and respect. Sometimes, standing firm means saying no, even when it's uncomfortable, or when it might disappoint people you like and respect. The entire experience has been a lesson in boundaries, empathy, and foresight. I've had to consider the emotions of my daughter, my family, and even the boyfriend, weighing each factor carefully before making a decision. I've had to balance love and respect with practicality, cost, and the emotional well-being of everyone involved. And through it all, I've come to understand that sometimes protecting family and peace means making the tough choices that won't make everyone happy, but that are ultimately in the best interest of those you love most. Looking back, I feel confident that I did the right thing. Lala deserves a celebration free of tension and judgment. Our family deserves to experience the vow renewal as a joyous, harmonious occasion, and the boyfriend will have his moment to propose. A moment that will be truly special, personal, and filled with love, not overshadowed by conflict or negativity. So now I ask AITA for not letting my daughter's boyfriend propose at our vow renewal. Standing my ground hasn't been easy, and I know some people might not agree with my decision. But when it comes to protecting my daughter, my family, and the joy of a once-in-a-lifetime celebration, sometimes making the tough choices is exactly what love looks like. At the end of the day, I hope the vow renewal will be a day of laughter, love, and celebration, and that everyone present will understand that boundaries, respect, and consideration are what make those moments truly special. And maybe, just maybe, when the time is right, the proposal can happen in a way that everyone can celebrate without tension, judgment, or awkwardness. A moment that honors Lala, her happiness, and the love that brought them together.